Ruth, if I
Yeah.
can just highlight one extremely important point here, and it's this: carbon dioxide, as being sold to us by government as being the poison that will destroy our planet. Well, let's just be very clear on the fact that carbon dioxide is plant food. Now, we as farmers could not produce one single ounce of food without carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Everything we produce, whether it is a vegetable, whether it is wheat, whether it is seafood, whether it is meat, everything is produced as a result of harvesting carbon dioxide. It is the building blocks of every single plant and animal on this planet. So all of this pain that our country is going to be put through, and that's already been put through, is all in the name of plant food. Now, you know, that's how ridiculous this whole thing is. We see billions of dollars raised from the people, in taxes to go into all these renewable energy schemes, solar farms, wind farms,
Oh,
all as a result of trying to limit how much plant food we have in the atmosphere. It is just absolutely ludicrous.
I know. I know. Reason and logic just don't apply anymore. And I guess I'm a baby boomer, and I stood by in polite silence while the crazy ones in my generation kicked the foundations of Western civilization out from underneath all of us. And I knew they were crazy, but I certainly didn't expect them to occupy the long march through the institutions like they have done. And I think it's time we just started to fight back. And I think that fight back has started, and hopefully it will continue. But look, I think I've hopefully covered enough for the time being. Did you want to say anything else before we say goodbye?
Well, Ruth, I think I'll just conclude by saying this, that doing nothing is not an option. You know, doing nothing about the direction of government policy will only lead to much more pain for the entire community, not just for farmers, not just for rural communities, but for everybody. So
Yeah.
I would impress on each and every person out there to arm themselves with a little bit more political knowledge
Yeah.
about where these policies are taking us, and,
Yeah.
and please don't ever think that it is fairly and squarely aimed at the state governments. Everything we see in the way of environmental regulation, whilst it is implemented by state government, it is coming down from the federal government. We've got the federal coalition running around now saying that they don't like what Queensland's doing with vegetation laws, and they're totally against all of that sort of thing. It's all lies. Everything
Yeah.
that's happening, as I said earlier, is a result of the federal government's commitments to both Kyoto and Paris.
Yeah.
These little agreements that they try and fob as a bit of nothing, it means nothing. They are what has driven this country into the ground for the last 2 decades, and will continue to do so. So I would just urge on everybody out there to please inform yourself. Everyone can look at the
Yes.
Paris Agreement. Everyone can look at the Kyoto Agreement, and
That's
you'll
right.
clearly
Yeah.
see why we are in.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm very sorry that the Queensland government has tried to monster you in this way, and I'm hoping that you get a favorable decision when the decision comes down. But we'll keep punching on. And thanks very so much for your time. I know you're probably pretty busy these days between your battles with the elements of nature and your battles with the banks and the battles with government. I don't know how you do it, but I certainly enjoy the food that comes out of the region. So thank you very much, and maybe we'll talk again.
worries, Ruth. Thank you very much for your interest. Much appreciated.